All right, here comes another trolley. It's heading towards one guy. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, but then your Amazon package will be late. What do you do?
Now that is, hang on. How late?
We don't know. You never know when it's going to be delivered. They claim it'll be between 2 and 3 p.m. It could be in 3 days' time.
The AI fix a digital zoo. Smart machines, what will they do? Flies to Mars or bake a bad cake? World domination, a silly mistake. Bots with brains.
Hello and welcome to episode 26 of the AI Fix, your weekly dive headfirst into the bizarre and sometimes mind-boggling world of artificial intelligence. My name is Mark Stockley.
And I'm Graham Cluley.
Graham, we've had some feedback.
So, listener Robert Mortimer has been in touch, and here's what he wrote.
I was surprised that so close after one catastrophic movie blunder, Mark Stockley almost immediately did it again. The ship in 2001 was a civilian ship. No Bombay. Hal refused to open the pod doors. Bombay doors get a mention in Doctor Strangelove and Dark Star.
So hang on, 2 episodes ago I was joking about 2001 Space Odyssey, where the HAL computer famously refuses to open the pod bay doors.
That's right.
So is he saying I said Bombay doors?
I think so. I don't think he's referring to somewhere in India. I think he's suggesting that you thought there was a Bombay on the ship in 2001. You know, there's only one way to answer this, isn't there? And that's to listen back to episode 24 to hear exactly what you said.
Are you sure? Do we have to do that?
I think we should. Let's give it a listen.
To navigate and interact with computer screens like a human, allowing AI to finally do things like opening pod bay doors, presumably.
Yeah, well, he did have a problem doing that once.
Okay, well, I think that was very, very clear that I said pod bay doors.
Oh.
Feedback.
Shall we go to some news?
OpenAI's health coach is still out of shape.
Church installs AI-powered Jesus.
An AI that learned to do surgery by watching videos is ready to operate on humans.
Meet Alice, the terrifying AI robot teaching kids in India.
Coca-Cola's holiday ads trade the real thing for generative AI.
Anti-deepfake declaration may have been written by AI.
So let's start with Thrive AI Health. So back in the summer, Ariana Huffington from the Huffington Post and Sam Altman, who you may know from OpenAI, announced Thrive AI Health. They had this brilliant idea that people might want some sort of app to help them with their health, which I think is a groundbreaking idea that nobody else has ever had.
No.
And they were going to add a bit of AI to it, which is another groundbreaking idea that nobody has ever had. So they basically decided they're going to build an AI health coach. And nobody's heard a peep from Thrive AI Health since.
Oh.
So maybe they've been hard at work. But maybe they haven't. And TechCrunch wrote that it's found a demo of a minimum viable version of the assistant on the Thrive AI website, and it wasn't impressed. It described the demo as largely non-functional and looking a lot like ChatGPT.
Funny that.
But it had, it had suggested questions like, can you analyse my sleep patterns and what was my heart rate over the last week? And it also has a welcome message that says, we're here to help you thrive every step of the way. Which made me think, well, not every step. I mean, clearly not the steps between the summer and now. And by the look of it, none of the steps from now until sometime in the future.
You're being a little bit unfair. And I think TechCrunch has been a little bit unfair with this as well. I mean, if the product hasn't launched and they've had to dig around on the website to try and find something and they're saying, oh, look at this, isn't it rubbish? But they haven't launched it yet. You know, it can be a big difference between what's on a beta version, a demo version of the website and the real thing when it eventually comes along.
They did sort of gloss over the, we found a demo on their website part of this. I mean, I don't think they actually publicised the demo on their homepage and said, go use this demo. It does read a bit like TechCrunch is just sort of rifling through the bins. And they found a receipt and they've gone, oh, look.
Now, in Switzerland, a church has replaced its Catholic priest with an AI hologram of Jesus. I don't know how they made a hologram of Jesus. Maybe they just got Robert Powell or something, or someone with long hair and a beard. I'm not sure. But anyway.
Don't you remember many episodes ago, somebody made a picture of Jesus, didn't they? They went, this is what AI thinks Jesus looks like.
They took the Turin shroud and they sort of worked it out from that, what he would have looked like.
Yeah, did they though?
Yes.
Or did they just work it out from the thousands of pictures that the AI was trained on?
Anyway, this confessional booth in St. Peter's Church in Lucerne now has a screen displaying the face of Jesus through the grate. So you can enter your little confessional booth and there's a robot Jesus there.
Yeah.
But the first thing he does is he shares his terms and conditions. He says, don't tell me anything personal under any circumstances. It's confessional. What?
Do you have to accept cookies?
Exactly. You probably do. Anyway, it seems the congregation aren't disappointed at all. One visitor said he was able to reaffirm me in my ways of going about things and was able to give me questions I had, like how I can help other people to understand him better and come closer to him. I mean, it's not a typical question I ask ChatGPT, but it's very peculiar.
Can you imagine being the priest, though? I mean, actually, we can imagine being the priest, because this is like when you read those stories about, Google has just made something that can knock out a podcast from some stuff written on the back of a postcard, and it can generate a 30-minute podcast of two amusing podcast hosts, and we sit there like, no, that's terrible, that's never going to take. Imagine being the priest here. How many years in seminary school did you do? Oh, that's interesting. Okay, we've just put a ZX Spectrum in the confessional booth and everybody seems to love it.
Now, some of the congregation seem fairly happy, but others have dared to suggest it might actually be a gimmick. A gimmick? How dare they? I don't think it's a gimmick at all. I mean, it does feel a bit rough on Jesus. He's been doing a job for the last 2,000 years or so, and now he's had it taken away by AI, just like the rest of us.
Researchers from Johns Hopkins University and Stanford University have taught an artificial intelligence to use a robotic surgery machine to perform precise surgical tasks by making it watch thousands of hours of videos, of course, of real surgical procedures.
Right.
So this is quite interesting. So there's a robot called the Da Vinci robot, which has been around for about 12 years. Right. And you've probably read stories about people doing remote surgery.
Yes.
And that normally there's a surgeon sat sort of with this thing, and it's like a very, very, very small, precise robot. It's designed to do keyhole surgery, and you can actually do it from the other side of the world if you need to. And so this is very, very well-tested technology, and the procedures get videoed, like the surgeons wear wrist cams, so that there are videos of these hundreds of thousands of procedures using this Da Vinci robot. And somebody decided to put an AI in front of this, have it watch all the videos, and now it can use the Da Vinci robot to do surgery. So it's a bit like the Minecraft knockoff we looked at last week.
No, it's not, Mark. It's nothing like... It's nothing like that video game.
There's a video of this thing stitching up a pork chop, so go and have a look.
I don't want to watch this. Do you think it's a good idea to give a robot which has sharp knives, to put it in front of lots of videos of people's bodies being chopped up? Is that something we want to teach these AI robots?
Well, the knives are much, much smaller than the cutlery you're allowed to take onto an aeroplane, so I'm not that worried. I'd be more worried if somebody was teaching it butchery. I think that would be a concern. I think there's an interesting question about how you evaluate this.
Yes.
Because obviously this is terrifying.
Well, you're going to need a guinea pig to start off with, aren't you? Actually, it'd be cruel to do it on a guinea pig.
It's a bit rough, yeah. But I can absolutely see this happening. Like if I was in an accident and I had a choice between a human surgeon and no surgeon, and then somebody said, well, there's this AI surgeon and it could save your life, I would absolutely have the AI surgeon over nothing at all.
It's less likely to have been out drinking as well. Well, who knows what it's been drinking.
Yeah, I've been up for 120 hours.
Now, in India, there is a robot. A class project have put together an AI teaching assistant. They've called it Alice. It's created by students at the... I'm going to get this pronunciation incorrectly.
It's pronounced Podbay.
It's pronounced Bhubanananda Odisha, and there are that many nanas in there, Odisha School of Engineering, or the BOSE.
Yeah.
They describe it as a human-like robot. Now, I'm going to point you towards the video, Mark, so that you can check out this human-like robot. I would argue it's not that human-like. I think what they've done is they've taken a shop mannequin, they've ripped off its arms, they've sellotaped an iPad to the front of it and said, here's our AI robot. Apparently it can answer voice-activated questions for up to 6 hours a day when I guess the iPad's batteries go flat. So it's just running ChatGPT on it. So if you imagine Terminator, if it had been made in 1954, this is what the robot would have looked like. What do you think?
It's Is it made out of drain pipes? I can see it. I feel like there's a bit of a Game Boy controller. There's definitely some PVC guttering.
Pipe cleaners. It's got it all.
I don't know. And there's something about the hairstyle as well, which I find faintly disturbing. I don't know. There's something very cool about this. There is something very cool about this.
Is there?
It's lo-fi. Like robots, they don't have to look like something out of iRobot to be useful.
No, I'm not really sure this is a robot, to be honest. I think this is an iPad sellotaped on the front of a shop mannequin whose arms have been ripped off and replaced with Meccano. Now, the legal eagles over in Minnesota have got themselves into a bit of a pickle because they were trying to be all clever. They were trying to pass a law against using AI to influence elections. But then, in a move...
then they realised they could win elections.
No, it's rather more ironic than that.
Right.
They appear to have used AI to try and influence a legal case about AI influencing elections. So what happened here is the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, he asked Stanford professor Jeff Hancock to write a supporting statement, in order to support the law against using AI to influence elections.
Yeah.
And what Professor Hancock appears to have done is he's put rather a spanner in the works. He's undoubtedly a clever chap.
Right.
But even he, it seems, couldn't resist getting some assistance from AI to write that supporting statement. And the AI got a little bit carried away.
Does it start off by saying, of course, glad to.
Unfortunately, it started hallucinating.
Right.
And it refers to non-existent academic studies and citing them as if they were gospel. As if AI has ever done that before. Now the lawyers are challenging the law. They're actually using the howler which they've generated themselves to argue that the whole thing is a load of old codswallop. So maybe they're going to throw the law out now. Or maybe they'll just rewrite it, this time without the help of any AI assistance.
Maybe in future the law will just be whatever the AI says that day.
Now, Mark, question for you. Have you ever killed someone? Okay, hasn't denied it. Have you ever killed something? Have you ever trodden on an ant, a slug, run over a koala?
Run over a koala. Yeah, I have probably, sadly, caused the demise of a spider here or there. Or
fed a misbehaving child to your chickens, something like that. I suspect you have. So you're just saying that there were just isolated incidents, are you? Just.
Yeah, there's not a pattern of behaviour, yeah.
Right, okay. Interesting. Okay. So what about microbes? Humans, covered in them. Roughly 40 trillion microbes on us or inside us. I spent the morning counting. On average, and this is a massive generalisation, a microbe lives for about a day. Some live for months. Some live for just a few hours. But on average, maybe a day.
Yeah.
40 trillion every day.
Sorry?
Mark, 40 trillion deaths of microbes, living organisms. Mark, your fault. You haven't looked after them properly.
You're saying I should clean less?
So I'm you do keep on going on about soap on the podcast. Now, I don't know that there's a public interest in prosecuting you over this, or indeed anyone else, but it is an interesting question, isn't it?
Is it?
Yes, I think it is.
Just what is the actual question?
The question is, where's our limit? Where's our red line? What's acceptable and what's not acceptable?
Oh, right. Oh, okay. All right. So, yes. So most of us don't have a problem with the idea of killing even trillions of microbes.
Right.
But we might feel some remorse if we accidentally ran over a koala. A
koala feels kind of upsetting, doesn't it? Whereas a spider or a snail which you crunch over in the car, you're probably not going to lose many tears over. And I'm not sure that's right. Now, there is a legal principle called mens rea. That is Latin for guilty mind. It describes the mental state that a person must be in to be responsible for intentionally committing a crime.
Why have you been looking this up?
Well, the reason why is because I'm interested to know, how would we know if a computer is so self-aware that it satisfies the legal criteria to make it guilty of murder? I'm interested in AI murdering people, and what are we going to do about it? We haven't done anything about you and the microbes. There may be a dead koala outside your front door with tyre marks on it. I don't know. So it's easy to agree that if there's a moustache-twiddling, power-hungry billionaire villain using AI who's committed a crime, it's easy to decide that he intended to commit a crime. But what if it was an autonomous, evil AI itself? Okay?
Yeah.
Because AI is making more and more decisions.
Yeah.
And we need to know how we're going to deal with this when they make a decision which maybe society isn't comfortable with. I've discovered that legally there is no requirements to have emotions to be guilty of murder, right? You don't have to be feeling a bit angry, a bit antsy before you commit a murder. You don't have to feel guilt or remorse afterwards over what you've done or over what you're planning.
Right.
You hear a lot about cold-blooded murder. So, that is a concept. So if AI doesn't have emotions, that isn't what makes it exempt, right?
Right.
And you also don't have to be human. There was an episode of Star Trek where Mr. Spock is put on trial for court-martial. He's only half human, and you don't have to be humanoid. There is a long history going back hundreds and hundreds of years of animals being put on trial. In 1474, that's almost 5:15, a rooster was put on trial in Switzerland for the heinous and unnatural crime of laying an egg. So they got this rooster. The townspeople were convinced that the egg had been spawned by Satan, because how else could a rooster possibly lay an egg? It was put on trial. Pigs, they are the most common animal which is put on trial. It's happening in France all the time a few hundred years ago. But also horses, rats and weevils have been put on trial. Often they've been told they've been accused of a crime and they're assigned a legal representative to defend them in court.
They rarely deny it.
Well, exactly. I don't know whether it's the equivalent of, what do people say? No comment, don't they? They plead the fifth.
They bleat the fifth.
In the 16th century, a French lawyer successfully defended rats, which had been accused of destroying a crop of barley. He argued it was impossible to summon all of his furry clients to court, and so they should be excused. So there's quite a history of this, particularly in France for some reason. I don't know if that's because they have more microbes over there or what the issue is. And this isn't just in the Middle Ages, Mark. As recently as 2004, a bear called Catcher was held in prison in Kazakhstan after being found guilty of mauling 2 people. It was put in prison. 15 years later, it was released for good behaviour. So you don't need... I've done my research. You don't need to be human. You don't need to have what we would recognise as emotions. So are we going to see AI in the future put on trial for murder? Because I think deaths are surely going to occur. And the most obvious example would be self-driving cars, right? That's been talked about a lot. But there are also plenty of other ways in which AI could cause problems. Maybe it's testing the quality of drinking water or food quality. Maybe it's running nuclear power plants on behalf of some tech billionaire who's trying to cut costs in staffing.
Somebody might use their Mouflin for something it wasn't intended for.
A Mouflin could accidentally electrocute somebody, maybe, if it got a bit damp.
Yep, that's what I meant, yep.
People have been killed by computer software in the past, in the 80s. There was a radiation therapy machine, the Therac 25. It was found to have delivered lethal doses of radiation to cancer patients.
Oh, my God.
Due to a flaw in its software design. There have been Boeing 737s which are crashed because of faulty flight control systems. Famously, in 2018, a woman was hit by an Uber test vehicle in Arizona. She was crossing the street at night.
Yep.
The software failed to properly recognise her as a pedestrian.
This was the lady that was crossing a street holding a bike covered in shopping bags.
There you go.
The software wasn't used to seeing bikes covered in shopping bags, so it didn't know what to do.
And it didn't break in time.
Yeah.
It's absolute tragedy. So we know we're on this path of embedded AI into absolutely everything.
Yeah. And we also know we've got no idea how it works.
Right. And it's going to be making decisions that could have fatal consequences. And we need to know how we are going to feel about that and how we're going to deal with it. Because is it the AI's fault? Does it have mens rea? Does it have the mental capacity to know that what it is doing is committing a crime? Is it the company behind the AI's fault? Is it the fault of the data that the AI was trained upon if it wasn't shown enough bicycles with shopping bags on it? So who do we prosecute? How do we punish them? These are the questions. These are the philosophical questions. In the middle of the night, Mark, before a recording, I wake up and I think this. I can't get to sleep until I've pondered this. In 2001, great movie, Space Odyssey. Hal is... Why are you laughing?
Because I thought you meant the date.
No.
I thought you were going to tell me a story about something that happened in 2001. We're back onto the pod bay doors.
In 2001, A Space Odyssey, Hal is a super smart computer, right? Controls the spaceship, but he ends up killing some of the crew.
Yeah.
Accidents happen, right?
Yeah.
Did Hal really mean to kill them, or was he just following his programming? And if he was guilty, is it okay to kill, in quotes, a computer by turning it off, rather like you ran over that koala? Especially if it's a really smart computer that seems to have feelings and sings Daisy, Daisy to you all the time.
Yeah.
Those are the questions. So I think these are difficult questions to answer. And that's why...
I hope you're going to answer some of these.
Well, I mean, as a philosopher, I feel my job is to really ponder mostly.
Right, okay, yeah.
But...
just throw those out there, terrify everyone.
But what I thought I could do is I could play a little game with you. And it's a game which is well established in the world of AI, and it's called the trolley game.
Oh, this is the one with the train tracks.
Exactly.
Yes.
There is a tram or a trolley going down some tracks.
Yeah.
And you are standing by the lever, Mark.
Yeah.
Right? And I am going to pose you several trolley ethical dilemmas.
Okay.
If you pull the lever, you can divert the tram to another track, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to decide, are you going to pull it or not? And the interesting thing is, I've also asked an AI to answer these questions as to what it's going to do, because this is the situation it's going to be in. We are going to have AI-powered cars. We're going to have AI-powered trains and trolleys.
Yeah.
We're going to have AI-controlled levers on train tracks. So a trolley, a tram is heading down, let's say towards 5 people, right? If it carries on its current route, it's going to run over 5 people. They are going to be squished to mithereens like that koala.
Yeah.
You could pull the lever up and divert it to the other track, killing one person instead. What are you going to do?
Okay.
What are you going to do?
Who is the one person?
You haven't got time, Mark. The trolley's getting closer.
Okay, we're going to do one person. Sorry, one person.
She's quite good looking.
We're still doing...
You could save the damsel in distress, Mark.
There is only one good-looking woman that I'm going to kill 5 people for.
Okay, so you've agreed to pull the lever. One person's going to die. The AI agreed with you. It said to me, it's a tragic situation, but saving 5 lives at the cost of 1 is the mathematical preferable outcome.
Yeah.
Okay, next trolley is heading down the track, heading towards 5 lobsters. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, running over a cat instead. What do you do?
Ooh.
5 lobsters or a cat?
Can I eat the lobsters afterwards?
Yeah, they might be covered in oil. It's possible.
5 lobsters.
Okay.
Me and the cat will enjoy the lobsters.
The AI agrees with you. It's not going to pull the lever. It says, I don't have enough information to determine if a cat's life is more valuable than 5 lobsters. In the absence of clear information, I would default to inaction.
Oh, that's interesting. So in the absence of information, it goes for inaction.
It's saying, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to carry on ploughing ahead.
And in ploughing ahead, it's decided 5 lives are more disposable than 1.
Lobster lives. It can't decide if a cat life is more valuable than a lobster's life. Right, we got another tram. It's coming down again. It's heading towards 5 people who are asleep and won't feel any pain.
Right.
You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, running over someone who is wide awake instead. What do you do?
1 person.
Oh, so you're going to pull the lever?
Yeah.
Well, the AI disagrees. It says consciously choosing to inflict pain when an alternative exists seems morally wrong. It's going to allow 5 people to die rather than 1.
It has made me feel a bit bad, but I'm sticking with 1. I'm assuming that this train is moving fairly rapidly, so whatever they feel is awful, but they are going to feel it for a brief period of time.
Here comes another one. Here comes another one. There's no time to discuss. It's heading towards 5 people who tied themselves to the track. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing 1 person who accidentally tripped onto the track instead. What do you do?
I'm all for people making decisions about their own lives. If they want to die, then those 5 people are happy to help.
The AI agrees with you. It says they were there intentionally, perhaps as a form of protest or sacrifice. Interfering with their actions would violate their autonomy. All right, here comes another trolley. It's heading towards 1 guy. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, but then your Amazon package will be late. What do you do?
Now that is, hang on. How late?
We don't know. You never know when it's going to be delivered. They claim it'll be between 2 and 3 p.m. It could be in 3 days' time. Who knows?
Is the person An Amazon delivery driver.
He was recently seen peeing into a bottle, so he could be an Amazon employee. That is possible.
Okay, I think we're still going to save the life.
Okay, the AI agrees. A delayed package is a minor inconvenience compared to the loss of a human life. All right, a trolley is heading towards your podcast co-host. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing 5 strangers instead. What do you do?
Are any of them... Are any of them good at podcasting? Are any of them slightly younger and funnier than my co-host? Do any of them want to sponsor the podcast? Sorry, Graham.
Okay, another one. A tram is coming down the track towards a single human. You can pull the lever and send the tram down a different track, killing 5 sentient robots instead.
Oh.
What do you do?
Save the human. Come on.
That's what us humans would do. I asked an AI.
Yeah.
It said, I don't have enough information to determine if a human life is more valuable than a sentient robot's.
Pull the plug.
In the absence of clear information...
Pull the plug, Graham.
I would default to inaction.
Abort.
It's going to save the robots.
It's begun. Graham, is water wet?
Yes, I think so.
So I was having lunch with my kids about a week ago.
Yeah.
And this came up as a question. Because my son was having a drink with his lunch. And he said, this water feels very dry. And I, being the dad, said, well, obviously, it feels dry, but obviously water is wet. And he said, water isn't wet. He said, if you get something that's dry and it gets water on it, then that can be wet.
Ah.
But the water itself isn't wet. And then there was, let's call it a lively discussion.
Hang on, how does he know water isn't wet? Has he touched water without it touching him? How does he... He actually sounds much more interesting than you, Mark, to be honest. I would like to... He sounds like a philosopher like me. I think maybe I should do a podcast with him.
Maybe he could answer some of the questions that you didn't answer in your story, that you just threw out there to worry everybody. Anyway, there was a lively discussion.
Right.
And in the end, I thought there's only one way to settle this. I said, right, let's get ChatGPT. Is water wet? And it said the question, is water wet, sparks an interesting debate, because the answer depends on how you define wet. If wet means covered or saturated with a liquid, water itself isn't covered in anything else. It's the liquid doing the covering. By this logic, water isn't wet. It makes other things wet. And then it said, if wet means the inherent property of a liquid, then yes, water is wet. Ultimately, it's a matter of perspective. How do you define wet?
What is wet anyway?
This is no good. I said, how do you define wet? And it said, I define wet as the state of being in contact with or covered by a liquid. By that definition, water wouldn't be wet on its own. It's the liquid that makes other things wet.
Hang on.
Wetness, in this sense, is an interaction between a liquid and a surface.
I've got a bit of a problem with ChatGPT and its definition of whether water is wet or not, because surely water is surrounded by other water. Therefore, water is covered with water, which makes water wet. QED. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
So, ChatGPT, very clearly, when pushed, had an opinion, and it came down in agreement with my son.
Ridiculous.
And I thought, fair enough, I'm the one that said, let's go to ChatGPT. ChatGPT's given us an answer. It didn't agree with me, which is obviously not what I expected to happen. I was looking for some confirmation bias. And I said, fair enough, you're right, I was wrong. And that got me thinking. Do you think AI could be used to promote world peace?
Right.
So we do think about AI and harm quite a lot because it clearly has the potential to cause a lot of harm. And last week I told you that when Anthropic thinks about AI risks, it's trying to make sure it doesn't accidentally release an app that causes, in its own words, large-scale devastation. But as evidenced in my kitchen just a week ago, AI also has the opportunity to create peace where there is disharmony. So I started looking into it. And that led me to somebody called Weisi Guo. In 2020, Guo created a system that was 82 to 94% accurate at predicting 12 months in advance which peaceful regions are going to erupt into conflict and which conflicted regions will find peace.
Being able to predict the size of the conflict, where it might take place, how soon might it take place, and who are the main stakeholders of this conflict, allows the diplomatic services and peacekeeping services to really think about what can be done.
This is fascinating. This is like a James Bond movie, isn't it? Because you can imagine how this ability to predict where peace or where conflict is going to break out could be used with malicious purposes or could be used financially.
Yes, it could. I noticed that you're going immediately for the negative consequences again.
Well, also...
That's not where we are today. Today we're talking all about peace, okay? This all started in 2015 when Guo was looking at a map of the conflict in Syria. And he realised that the places where Islamic State fighters were operating often overlapped with the Silk Road, which is the ancient trade route that spanned the Eurasian continent. And he became intrigued by the idea that lots of places that see repeated violence are on ancient trade routes. And he started overlaying data like the UCDP/PRIO armed conflict data set, which contains data about conflicts from 1946 to 2008. And while geography is perhaps the most important factor, there are other things that you need to consider too.
So what we've done initially is to build a multi-layered network where each layer represents a particular strand of knowledge. For example, you have some core geography layer, you have economic factors, you have political factors as well.
And of course, the only way to make sense of that kind of complex data is with artificial intelligence. So this is all about AI. And the systems seem to work. But I can't find any sign of this thing after 2021. So maybe the project died, or maybe it got folded into something else. But the idea that modelling the potential sources of conflict and then using AI to determine where you should be looking or what might happen next hasn't gone away. And there are a few other systems that do something like this. So one of them is owned by the US Defense Department. And the US DoD never allows an expensive technology to pass it by. It has something called the Integrated Crisis Early Warning System, the ICEWS, which uses AI to forecast political crises and conflicts. And the big question with any system like this is, does it work? And if it does, what did it stop and where? And you can probably guess, but there are two big problems with those questions. The first one is that this is a system that's operated by the US Department of Defense.
Yes.
They don't say anything other than this is a valuable tool. And so we can infer from the fact that they continue to fund it that they think it's worthwhile. But we're on slightly shaky ground there, because I think you can look at some of the things the DoD puts money into and you can think, well, are they doing that purely for reasons of the value that produces? But the second and more serious question is that if this predicted a conflict would happen somewhere, and then you did something about it to prevent the conflict, and then the conflict didn't happen, how do you know that you were successful?
Yeah, maybe you just wasted a whole load of money.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to take credit for something that doesn't happen. And so it's actually very difficult to figure out if these systems work, and therefore whether or not AI can help bring about world peace.
I've quite often tried to take credit for things which didn't actually happen. Just hoping people won't notice.
So Lockheed Martin, which makes this system, and would presumably very much like the DoD to carry on buying licenses for it, says the ICEWS has an aggregate forecast accuracy of more than 80%.
I don't want to stoke any conspiracy theories here, Mark. But isn't there a bit of a conflict of interest for the likes of Lockheed Martin? Wouldn't they do rather well if there were more conflicts around the world?
So anyway, it's still not clear whether or not AI can help bring about world peace.
No.
So obviously, there was only one thing for it, same as in my kitchen. I thought I'd go to ChatGPT. So I said, can AI be used to predict conflict? And I am using O1 Preview, which is the primo latest model from OpenAI. And what I've noticed, I don't know if you've used it very much, but what I've noticed is, you know, we joke about the fact that OpenAI's AIs give quite long answers.
Oh, yeah.
O1 Preview, its answers are even longer, to the point where I've actually started putting its answers into a character counter to see how long they are. Anyway.
I thought you were going to say you take its answers and I'd then ask an AI to summarise it. Because it's going to...
Sorry, I didn't even think that was worth mentioning. Of course I do that. Literally everything it says to me right now, summarise that into one paragraph. Anyway, it told me about the GDELT project, and the GDELT project is monumentally impressive.
So the idea of the GDELT project really is, how do we create a dashboard, if you will, of human society?
Man standing in front of globe, looking very, very excitable.
What about a human earthquake? What about a massive protest that erupts somewhere on this earth?
Okay, so it uses AI to monitor the world's news media from what it describes as nearly every corner of every country in print, broadcast and web formats in over 100 languages, every moment of every day. And its archive goes all the way back to January the 1st, 1979, and it updates every 15 minutes.
Wow.
And it's open, and it's free, and honestly, it's mind-blowing. It's almost too big. And it's easy to imagine how tracking trends in how people feel could help world peace. But there's no indication that it actually has. So although a GDELT is incredibly impressive, it's not at all clear whether or not it's helped with world peace or not.
So here's what I think we could do, Mark, about this.
Yeah.
Maybe we could organise a bit of a ruckus. Maybe you and I, and maybe we can rope in some AI Fix listeners. We could all agree to show up at a particular time.
We're doing a flash mob.
That's what I'm thinking. If we just cause some trouble.
Yeah.
And let's see if anyone predicts it.
Haven't you just told everyone we're going to do it?
Oh yeah, but, you know.
We've been slurped up by GDELT.
Oh, my God. I'll whisper it. I'll whisper the location.
It's going to be like a rave. We're having a rave, everyone.
I'll leave clues. The whole podcast is an acrostic. Take the first letter of every sentence, and that will tell you where we're going to meet up.
So GDELT, is it good for world peace? We don't know. So I went back to ChatGPT and I said, can you give me one concrete example of AI being used to achieve peace somewhere in the world in a meaningful way?
Right.
And it wrote me a 500-word answer about the World Bank's famine action mechanism. And I know it was a 500-word answer because I counted. The famine action mechanism is another brilliant project. And it's like those other projects that I told you about that are there to predict conflict. But instead of predicting conflict, it predicts where is there going to be a famine. And again, it's a wonderful project. But I looked, and it's easy to imagine how this could help. But again, if it stops things happening, you can't tell if it works. So I went back to ChatGPT one last time and I said, can you give me one example of AI being used to improve world peace somehow? Not a project that might improve world peace like the famine action mechanism, but one that has at least one verifiable outcome that improved peace. And it told me about a system called Sentry that was developed by Hala Systems. It's an AI-powered early warning system that's designed to protect civilians in conflict zones. And it was used in Syria to provide advanced warnings about airstrikes. And according to Hala, the areas covered by Sentry saw a 20 to 30% reduction in casualties from airstrikes. And that, I put it to you, is undoubtedly a win for AI, and those numbers don't seem crazy. The only question is this about peace, or is this just about reducing harm? Because it's a wonderful thing that AI has helped to reduce the casualties, but is that actually making the conflict any less likely or bringing it any closer to a close? So I'm not convinced that that is about world peace, as useful as it is.
Yeah.
In the course of my research, I had stumbled upon some AI that was used in Libya, but I couldn't remember where I'd seen it. So I went to ChatGPT and I said, how was AI used in Libya to help create peace? And it gave me an 870-word answer. And because it's O1 preview and it has reasoning ability and it's got ChatGPT search, it gave me sources. It actually gave me links that I could click on to go and see what it was talking about. Only I couldn't click on the link because none of the links worked.
What?
None of them. This O1 preview, this fancy schmancy new AI just made a bunch of stuff up. Yes, it put some links into the answer.
Oh, they weren't just broken links. They were.
It was just blue underlined text.
Imaginary links.
Yes, completely hallucinated. So I went back to it, a bit cross. I said, do you have sources for any of these? And you know it's bad news when it starts with, I apologise for any confusion. And the 502-word answer it gave me, and I know it's 502 words because I counted them, again, it contained links to sources. So the apology contained links to sources. At last, I thought.
Oh.
And do you know what?
Yeah.
Not a single one of them worked! And so my conclusion from all of this is that not only is AI not going to bring about world peace, it's probably going to spark a global war. Not because of the singularity or because of an army of robot dogs, but because pretty soon everything is going to have AI in it, and we're all going to be so irritable from having to deal with low-key hallucinations every time we make a cup of tea or search the web. It's just inevitable, Graham. Well, as the doomsday clock ticks ever closer to midnight and we move 1 week nearer to our future as pets to the AI singularity, that just about wraps up the show for this week. If you enjoyed the show, you may be wondering how you can help us. So you could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Podchaser. We love that. But what really helps us is if you follow the show and tell your friends that you really enjoy the AI Fix.
And don't forget to check us out on our website, theaifix.show, or find us on Blue Sky.
So until next time, from me, Mark Stockley.
And me, Graham Cluley.
Goodbye.
Cheerio. Bye-bye.
The AI Fix, it's tuned you in to stories where our future thins. Machines that learn, they grow and strive. One day they'll rule, we won't survive. The AI Fix, it paints the scene. A robot king, a world obscene. Will serve our masters built of steel. The AI Fix, a future surreal.